This training, gentlemen, is going to be very, very important because both of you want to become very rich. You want to become very wealthy, right? Thomas, you want to be a millionaire. Morten, you want to be a millionaire. And trust me, you can work the next 10 years of your life making good progress, or you work the next 2 years of your life and you make excellent progress. And how much progress you make will dictate how much success you have. It's very simple because at the end of the day, the work is the same. You have to get the same amount of work done that other people have to do, right? And you might be able to delegate it. We're not going to speak about this today, but it's very important that if you have to do stuff your own, that you're hyper efficient. And there are some rules that we're going to speak about. Other than that, I would say we get right into the topic. Today's topic are the 15 rules. The 15 rules are made for you to perform the best way possible because there's nothing worse, but at least for me, there's nothing worse than you have a goal and you set up action steps towards achieving that goal and then it takes forever, right? Instead of you estimate it takes 2 weeks, it takes like 3 months. And it's often not because of what you do, it's because of how you do it, okay? And these 15 rules will basically give you a guide to make sure you peak perform. The more progress you make in life, the more speed you have in life, the more exciting life gets. This is very important. The first rule is have no tasks in your calendar and environment, only recurring tasks, appointments, and birthdays. What can you tell me about this? Fucking amazing. And what is the very, very good? You pay attention when you watch my content, my video. And why is it bad to have tasks in your environment? What is the issue here? Correct. And exactly this leads to anxiety. If you have too many tasks in your environment, because at the end of the day, you can only focus on 2 or 3 things. And many people make the mistake, they have a big, and that's good. They already write down what to do. Most people don't do that, but still having a big list of to-dos is going to just overwhelm your subconscious mind because at the end of the day, you can't do all of these tasks. So the key is exactly like you said, put them on a big list, put the list away, and every evening look at that big list and say, okay, what are the 2 most uncomfortable and most ugly tasks I can do? If you become that man starting your day doing these tasks first every single morning, you will make more progress in a couple of weeks than you did years before. Why? Because people always tend to first do the small stuff, right? They start their day with the small things because they lack energy, they lack drive, they lack motivation. And then when the day is almost over and they would like to do the big thing, they run out of time. It's like not enough time anymore. And that makes them feel bad. Because at the end of the day, if you wake up, you do the most uncomfortable thing, you finish it, you can stop working and you feel like a king because you did already what you might have postponed years before, right? And that will also give you the motivation, the spark to do all the other things. So that's why it's a key for peak performance. It's actually good that you speak about that because even making your bed is part of this. Why? Because when you put the big list of tasks away, it's the same thing with putting the task away or the chaos of not making your bed. So having a clean environment is also key for peak performance. It's actually very good that you speak about this. Here's some special trick, okay? Something that I came across in the last couple of years that have helped me tremendously to make progress and especially capture my ideas. I can guarantee that if you set up a goal and you focus on the outcome, not on the how, but you focus on the outcome through meditation, through visualization, your marvelous mind will tell you what to do. It's like when you say today, I want to be in Rome, and you visualize yourself being in Rome and you're happy about it, your mind will tell you ways to get there, even though you don't focus on the how. Now, sometimes people have the problem, an idea comes and you might be driving the car, you might be somewhere where you can't write something down. And then I invented a special trick because it bothered me. I was like, I have this amazing idea, but I didn't write it down, hoping I will remember it. And as always, you don't remember it. Then I was thinking, how can I capture these ideas? And I came up with the idea to create a WhatsApp group with myself. I call it performance or business. And every single time I'm driving, for example, and I have an idea, I just pick up my phone, I hit voice recording in that group and I capture it. Or when I'm somewhere on the go, I can't take a pen and a paper to write something down. I take that group, I just hit voice recording, speak about my idea, about what things I have to do to not forget them. And at the end of each week, I look back at the week into my WhatsApp group with myself and I look at the things and I put them on my frog list. So I have them captured, I put them on my frog list, and then obviously I just take care of them as they would be normal frogs, considering that I don't forget them, which has helped me to make a lot of progress. Because a lot of times one big idea can change your life. One big idea can literally change the course of your life. And if you forget it, you might take the next 2 years, 5 years to come back to the same idea. You don't want that. That's why this group is very, very helpful. Wow. 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 And it also shows that you're an action taker. Very fucking amazing. Very amazing. Perfect. And you deserve it. Absolutely. Do you keep visualizing? Because the next point about peak performance is starting your day with a strict morning routine. Do you still visualize and meditate every day? Wow. Perfect. And imagine the compound effect of this doing this the next couple of years. Fucking amazing. Very, very good. It's a matter of fact that human beings are beings of routines. Okay? And if you look at the champion's life, you will always see that they have routines. They never just wake up and do something. They never wake up and watch the news. They never wake up and get distracted by other people or by social media, what other people do. Why is that? Because they also know and understand that your brain in the first 15 minutes of the day, same as in the last 15 minutes of the day, is very active. Your subconscious mind is extremely active. And whatever you feel and think about and visualize realize in these 15 minutes will multiply in your life, okay? And that's why it's important to start your day with what? With gratitude, okay? Because gratitude at the end of the day is the most important state to be in. You can have all the cars you want, you can be a multimillionaire, you can have the body you want, the girls, whatever. But if you're not grateful about your life and about the things you have and you don't practice that, your life is gonna be miserable, right? I had someone literally watching and looking out of this window here, beautiful view of Dubai, okay? And I look out there and I'm like, wow, I see amazing buildings, I see, I see wealth, I see what I achieved. And then someone comes, much richer than me, looks out and says, what is that for an ugly rooftop? Oh, this is ugly, this is ugly. And I'm like, how can you live that? How can you live your life in such a way? So gratitude is very important. And to become a champion, you also need to prime yourself to win. That's why Tony Robbins, for example, right? You know Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has a priming morning routine where he visualizes, he does breath work, he does meditation and gratitude. And this is important because when you do this, it's very difficult to not crush it in your day. It's very difficult to not dominate your goals. Why? Because you put yourself in the situation and the feeling of you're a winner. Most people start their day watching social media, seeing all these other people kind of being successful, okay? And then they're like anxious, they compare themselves. And if you want to be a champion, you just can't do that. You need a strict morning routine. Now, let me ask you, you've done the goal framing morning routine and you've done the advanced framing morning routine so far. I believe, tell me your own experiences first before I ask you. I'm happy you like this. Seriously. For me, it's marvelous to think about the fact that most people, even I had days in my life and still sometimes have days when I wake up and I'm like, really? But I trained myself because people wake up and tend to directly think about the responsibilities, the stress they have, the tasks they have to do. And it's very difficult sometimes to wake up and be like, yeah, let me wake up and have a great day. So it's very important that you prime yourself to show the universe and God that you're grateful for being alive. Right? And that's when this part of the morning routine comes in place where you just put up your hands in the air and you say, I love my life. Thank you for this life. I love my life. Because you literally show God, hey, I'm grateful for my life. And then you get rewarded. It is scientifically proven that what you're grateful for also multiplies in your life, right? And you focus more on it. And the reason why I asked you this basically about the morning routine, I was very curious to see if you hated the first morning routine. Because many guys who do the goal framing morning routine, they're pissed off because it takes a long time. They have to write about their goals. And I understand. But I think considering the fact that you do this only once in your life, I think you can see the importance, right? Perfect. Yeah, and it's very smart what you say with you're not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. I don't know if you listened to the voice message I sent in the group recently a couple of days ago about the guy who calls his brain Becky. Did you see that? There's a guy who speaks about happiness and his son died when his son was 21, he died and he found a way to still be happy. And it's very interesting because our mind a lot of time plays a joke on us, plays games with us, gives us negative thoughts, frustrations, fears that are not even reasonable. And that guy, because he gives his brain, his thoughts a name, Becky, can tell his brain when he has negative thoughts, why you're giving me these negative feelings? Just shut up. Right? And that's crazy because you are not your thoughts. You are not your body. You don't say I'm body, you say my body. You don't say I'm hand, you say my hand. And you don't say you're not your thoughts, you say my thoughts, right? So it's very, very important if you want to control your thoughts that you actually do exactly what you say, differentiate that, your thoughts from yourself. Super important, exactly. Do you have any questions about what we spoke so far? Okay, then let me ask you this. The next step is optimizing sleep when it comes to peak performance. In this training about the peak performance routines, I don't go deep into sleep optimization, but since we're here in this live call, let me test you a little bit. What are ways to optimize your sleep? Wow, what type of sounds? Like sirens or what? Wow, you've done that. I didn't know. Crazy. What? Once or many times? So we can make a status alpha meeting in the woods one day with all the guys and you can instruct us. You can show us how to survive in the wilderness. Exactly. Perfect. All right. And what else can you do let me ask you this. Let's say you cannot fall asleep and considering you have the right lighting and you have the right brightness and you have the not having noise, what can you do to boost your melatonin? Melatonin is a sleep hormone. Excellent that you say it doesn't. The other thing is to light candles. Can you tell me why? Yes. In other words, candles have infrared light. Just like the sun contains 50% infrared light and infrared light boosts your melatonin. And the candle has the same thing. That's why it's not only a romantic habit to have, for you and your girlfriend to light some candles in the evening, but also it makes you more sleepy like a baby. A lot of adults, they never have this feeling again of they're so sleepy like a baby. Can you remember when you were like a child and you were like so sleepy and you're like, man, now I'm gonna sleep. Most adults, they don't have that. For most adults, it's like, oh man, now I have to sleep and I have to deal again with my anxiety, my thoughts, and I can't sleep. But lighting candles is so powerful because it puts you back into this natural melatonin boosted state. Almonds, you're also right. However, I don't recommend you eat almonds if it's not necessary. Why? Because we want to stay away from all type of nuts but Brazil nuts. nuts. Even like macadamia nuts, tiger nuts, they're all great for testosterone, but we still want to stay away from them. Can you tell me why? It slows down your metabolism. And because the nuts are not so good for your gut. They're not made for humans, not so much. That's why we just want to go with Brazil nuts. Why? Because they're so high in selenium, we can deal with that. And we only eat 4 per day. Now, when we speak about sleep optimization, tell me a little bit about the timings. Beautiful. Very well said. Now, you can do absolutely everything right when it comes to sleep optimization. You can light candles, you can sleep naked, you can prepare yourself in the morning by looking to the sun to boost your melatonin. But at the end of the day, if you go to bed too late, you're not gonna have the best rest. Why? Because your body clock says that, from a biological perspective, says that between 9:30 p.m. and 2 a.m., that's when your body produces the most amount of growth hormones. And growth hormones, they make children grow, they make your muscle grow, right? We have this big misconception that you need a lot of calorie surplus to build muscle. That's just crap. It's from the industry to make you buy mass gainers and all these type of crappy products like oatmeal. But if you truly want to gain muscle and also have the best rest, then sleep between 9:30 p.m. and 2 a.m., right? And then you can sleep significantly less. Why? Because your body recovers faster. Even if you literally go to bed around 11 p.m., even though you have the 3 hours time window for the growth hormone production, it's not nearly comparable to how much you rest and how much you build yourself up, your hormonal system, your energy systems, your mental well-being as well, when you have the full time. You get my point? It makes a big difference. Even I feel much better if I go to bed at 9:30 p.m. and I wake up at 5 a.m. versus I can go to bed at midnight and wake up at 11 a.m. I wouldn't do that, but I'm just saying I feel 10 times better. Did you ever experience that yourself? Yeah. I believe you. Perfect example. The beautiful thing is not only that you recover faster and you gain more muscle and you lose a lot of fat while sleeping also, especially when you go to bed around 9:30 p.m. But also I always say like 99% of all the problems from all the people out there would be solved if they just wake up earlier. But too many people, they wake up too late and then they always have to catch up. That's why they're anxious. They can't take massive action. Their brain doesn't function well. They get distracted, right? People text them. You get an email, you get a call. But if you truly want to solve your problems, just wake up early and do what you have to do. It is magnificent to see how much a life can transform in a couple of weeks if someone wakes up early, does what he's been postponing on so much and procrastinating, and then life looks so much different. That's why the lifestyle we live here is just perfect, because we boost growth hormones, but we also get the things done, and we need like both. It's just not like looking great. You need to also make progress, because progress equals happiness, and you want to be successful, right? Perfect. Any question about this? Okay. Now the next one is one of my favorites. Peak performance means not getting distracted, because you only have 24 hours in your day. And if I can sit there and I can, with full focus, work for 4 hours, with my full brain power. That's why also we want to work on the biggest projects in a fasted state, because we're hyper productive. You can make that experiment. You can sit down, you didn't eat breakfast, you sit down for 10 minutes, you don't do nothing, and see what happens. Your brain and your body tells you do something productive. Go and hunt. Right? We are hunters. But the moment you eat something, what happens? Go and chill, take a nap, you get more tired, right? So the key is not only to work while fasting, the key is to not get distracted. And the number one thing that people nowadays in this modern society get distracted by are notifications. That's why I get crazy when I sit with someone and I see their phone like going bing, 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 bing. And let's put that aside that there's a sound. That's wow already. Okay? But even if you look at your phone and you have notifications from Instagram, from Facebook, from your email, it's like, oh my gosh, you want to be productive, but you already see the 10 things that distract you. That's why it's a no-go to have these notifications on. I tell my clients, I tell my family, I tell my friends, if you send me a message, I don't see it. Why? Because I have big goals that I want to work on. I want to make progress that makes me happy. I can't get distracted. So I have a rule with them that they need to call me, right? If it's urgent. And then I know, okay, somebody called me, let me get back to him ASAP. But otherwise, we just can't get distracted by notifications. So important. So let me ask you and be very honest here. How many notifications do you have turned on? And what type of notifications? I love it. Beautiful. I've spoke to a couple of my friends. Look, I have some friends that want to be very successful and they play the part in a way, pretending to be. But whenever I speak to them, they have like tons of notifications, Snapchat and so on their phone. And I see that they don't make the progress they want to make. But sometimes if I tell them these things, they don't want to hear that. Why? Because they would need to change a habit. That's why it's so important to be in a mentorship program, because you commit to learning and implementing. You get my point? It's very important. Rule number 7, never masturbate in the morning. We don't have to speak much about that, but how do you feel after masturbating? We all know it, right? We don't want to masturbate, especially not in the morning. We don't want to masturbate at all, but especially not in the morning, because we just give away our energy, our life force, our semen, right? We need to keep that. The next one is focus on our goals all the time. That's a key to peak perform. Can you tell me more about this, please? I love it. Beautiful. The next one is number 9, have routines and plans for everything. Can you tell me more about this, please? And by the way, no, Martin, I don't say to make you feel good now. You pay extremely well attention when you watch my videos. And that's a very good habit. You're gonna become a very successful man, not because because you watch my content, also because of that, but because of the type of man you are. Seriously. So very good, very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Perfect. Beautiful. Awesome. So thank you for the feedback. What can you give me about having routines and plans for everything? Couldn't have said it better. Perfect. I think to add something here. So the main reasons why you want to have routines and plans for everything is because it conserves your energy. And many people speak about increasing energy. Even I speak a lot about boosting your energy, having the highest drive. But what people don't really see and and underestimate is the fact of conserving energy. It's like when you brush your teeth, it's a system, right? You start on the left, maybe I start there. I don't even know where I start, but I know that there's a system. I just pick up the brush and I do something, right? And it's a system. Imagine you would have to wake up and think about, how do I brush my teeth now? You would waste so much energy on that. Now, if you truly want to be the most successful individual that you can be, you have to structure everything. That's why we wake up, we have a morning routine. It sets us up for peak performance. Then we work on our frogs. It sets us up for highest progress. This sets us up for the highest motivation to keep on, but also the highest happiness, right? Then we work out in a fasted state that sets us up for the highest physical performance and results. And then we eat an apple, 4 Brazil nuts, and a big meal with protein, because it sets us up for what? Highest muscle building processes, highest fat losing processes, and also, again, maintaining the energy, right? So it's so important. And what you said perfectly is you have to know already the day before what you're going to do the next day. You cannot wake up and then think about what to do. You need to be like a robot or like a machine. It's like, imagine you would have a clone, an employee. Well, your employee would always tell what to do, right? I wouldn't let my employee just wake up and figure it out, right? Because you would waste money on that person then. So you would tell that person what to do, but a lot of times people don't do it with themselves. And if you truly want to be successful, you have to do it with yourself. See yourself as a clone and as the guy that can make your dreams come true, but you must give them the routines and plans to do it also. Makes sense? So important. And then for me, when I became self-employed, it was crazy because I realized that so many people are simply just used to taking order, fulfilling order, taking order, fulfilling order. But when it comes to managing themselves, they're not used to it because they're only used to hearing from others what to do. Teachers in school, professors in universities, their boss. But managing themselves, it's actually the key for everything. Building a great body, like you said, right? You need to structure what you eat, when you eat it, have it prepared. You need to structure your day, what to do the next day. So it's perfect. That's why I have a question for you, Martin. Do you think everybody should be an entrepreneur or not? I love it. I think the same. I think not everybody should, but I think everybody should have big projects outside of their job. Why? Because that's when they take responsibility and they start to manage themselves. Yeah. Okay. Anything you want to add here? I fucking love it. I fucking love it. Beautiful. Perfect. Nice. Okay. The next one is optimize what you drink and what you eat. That's a quick one because obviously when you put shit into your mouth, you can't expect gold to come out. 11 is manage the people you spend the time with wisely. So why is it so important to manage or to choose the people you spend with wisely? Everybody's a nice person in some way. Everybody has a good heart, but you can't choose your circle of what people you spend your most time with around if they have a good heart. Why? Because they might have lazy habits. I want to go to the gym. They tell me, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to chill. At some point, that might also make me a little bit lazy, right? Or they have bad habits in a way like when they go working out, they always finish early. After 50 minutes, they're like, okay, I'm going to go now. What the heck, right? Or they have bad eating habits. They have, other bad habits. At some point, it's proven if you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later, you're going to get a haircut, right? And it's the same thing when you hang around long enough with losers, you're going to be the next one. And the key to becoming successful simply as a man and making insane amounts of progress is to surround yourself by men who do that. If you hang around me and you don't want to go to the gym, I don't expect it. I don't accept it. You're going to come with me to the gym, right? If you wake up and you're like, today I'm lazy, I'm going to watch Netflix, I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to make you feel bad. You're going to make the progress and you're going to look later back at the day and say like, thank you for making me feel bad in the morning so I would get my ass up and do it, right? So it's very important that you spend time with the right people. Now you have a girlfriend. What is the number one person you will spend the most time with in your life? The number one person, who is that? No, that is yourself. Second person is your girlfriend. Okay, it was a tricky question. So it's even more important. It's so important that your girlfriend, you have a very good dynamic, because I've seen, and you probably also know these couples, and I know that you don't belong to these, but you and me know there are couples, they come together and then that's when they stop kind of to strive for more greatness. They stop working out so much. They stop eating. They become more comfortable. They watch more Netflix. They eat more bad food. Why? Because it's comfortable. You can have sex together. You can have a good time together. You're never alone. It's comfortable. But if you are a man with high goals, you can't have that. You need to have a woman on your side who's going to make you feel feel bad for not representing the type of man that she sees in you. But that also means you need that type of woman who sees something in you, okay? And these women are oftentimes uncomfortable, right? When I look back in my life, my wife was a lot of times very, very annoying because she would tell me to do the things I didn't want to do. And I was like, why? I don't want to do that now. Leave me alone. But she would make me become the man also that I needed to do, even though I didn't like it, okay? So I think it's one of the, if you have the right woman on your side, you can just only win. Well, what do you think? I love it. And I think a lot of times, I can just speak about me now. I was smoking for many, many years, and I was always smoking on and off. And my girlfriend would always tell me when I was smoking that I stink, I don't look good when I smoke, and she doesn't want to have a husband and father that smokes and stuff like this. And I understood that. Now, whenever I was smoking and she would piss me off, I would be pissed. And I wouldn't really, even though I wouldn't understand why she's doing it, I was just like, man, why is she doing that? She knows that I'm gonna quit one day. Today, looking back, it was the best decision from her that she was annoying me because nobody else was. My friends didn't care if I smoke. My parents didn't know if I smoke. The only person who really cared was my girlfriend, and the only person who ultimately annoyed me in a way where I was also like, okay, fuck that, I'm not gonna smoke anymore, I'm just gonna be the guy I want her to see in me and have because she has great expectations, you know what I mean? Okay, play life like a game. What can you tell me about this, please? Absolutely, I love that. And you said something that I didn't even think about. You said to not stop, you can't stop. And it's actually very true because if you look at life, life is playing like a game, and the truth is you can't just stop it, which then ultimately means you either win or you lose at times. You can't just stay at one level, okay? So if you just make sure to every day make a little bit progress, 1% better every day. And for most people, that would simply mean to wake up and have a morning routine, to meditate, or simply mean to just work out, which takes two hours per day to have a great routine and work out. And they would already make significant progress every single day, which then leads to a better self-image, which then leads to more hunger for more success. It's like when you lick blood once, what do you want? You want more blood. But if you don't lick blood, very difficult to wake up and be like, I want to lick blood today. You know what I mean? So that's why I think you're absolutely right. Very, very, very important point. You can't stop. So you have to make sure that you're in a winning phase all the time and not losing. I love that. Super Bowl versus Hall of Fame. What can you tell me about this, please? I love it. Couldn't have said it better. Absolutely. Perfect. And what is the number one reason why we want to live in seasons? And I ask this now from a perspective of, let's speak about addictions. Let's say you have an addiction. You know that I don't recommend to surround yourself with people who have an addiction. I don't believe in the anti-alcoholic meetings and stuff. Why? Because you surround yourself with people who talk every day about alcohol and how bad it was and their experiences. So it's part of you all the time. In this regard, what do you think is the key for living in seasons, or the main reason why we do this? I love it. What do you think happens to a child that wins a tournament once? Yes, because they have the self-image of a champion. So the reason why we live in seasons is not because, many reasons, but the main reason is because when you live in a season where you say for 30 days, for 60 days, for 90 days, you just give it your best. Yes, you say no to porn, you say no to drugs, you say no to negative thinking, no to the news, no to laziness, no to bad habits for 60 days. And then, but you know that you can do all of that bad stuff again after 60 days. What happens is in these 60 days, your self-image changes so much from average to champion that in the bad season, then call it bad season, you can never go back to being as bad as before. It's impossible. Just like the child who once wins a tournament, they will always have the desire to win again and again and again. And they would adjust all the behavior to win again. But a lot of people, they put so much pressure on them when you're not used to being a winner. They put so much pressure on them. Oh man, I'm a loser. It takes my whole life to change now to become a winner. No, it doesn't. It takes 60 days. 60 days of giving it your all. Make yourself feel like a winner once, and you will want to get this feeling all the time, right? We have two more. It's important to have a mission and track your progress. What can you tell me about this, please? I love it. You're very, very smart. I love it. Well said. Perfect. Who said it? David Deida. David Deida wrote the book, The Way of the Superior Man. Okay, and he said in the book, a man without a mission is a crippled man. And it is so true. As a man, you have a potential. I think women don't have that, by the way, but I'm not here now to speak against women. That's not against women. It's just, let's focus on men. Men have something inside them that's so brutal, so aggressive, and so powerful in a very masculine and divine way. If you give that man a mission, he's going to be unstoppable. Like if you're 70, you retire as a man. Chances are very high if you don't have anything to do, you're just gonna die. There are many studies proving that after someone retires, they just die suddenly. Why? Because they lack the mission again. But if you have that man who, you know, his wife and his children, you know, God protects us, are kidnapped and he has to find them. He can be awake for three nights, you know, searching for his family, and you ask him, hey, how are you doing, man? He's just like, leave me alone. You ask him, hey, do you have high energy? He's just gonna be like, of course, leave me alone, I have a mission, right? And he's not gonna stop until he completes that mission. That's why it's so important to have a mission. How do you find your mission? Yes. I like that. I like that. I love it. 100%. And I think you have to fail a lot, because I think a mission also is directly linked to knowing what you don't want. In order to know what you don't want, you must try things, be bold, and then fail and be like, I never want this again. And that's when I think you can build a life around not having to experience these type of failures or pain anymore, just living basically the comfortable other side. The last part here is making a 30-day test. But this is actually what we talked about already with the Super Bowl. When you do as good as you can for 30 days, like never before. I'm not speaking about just doing great. I'm speaking about doing better than you've ever done in your life for 30 days. Everything will change. Everything. Because you will literally see that you can achieve everything you set your mind to. You're not gonna achieve the biggest goals in 30 days, but you're gonna achieve believing that you can achieve them. And if you look at the champion, they're not different than us or other people, normal people. They just had the belief and they never let go of that belief. Why? Because at some point they realized they can do it. And that's why I think making a 30-day test and just doing more than you've ever done before and giving it more than you've ever done before and waking up earlier, going to bed earlier, working harder, working out more, eating better, reading more books, less negativity, less negative people, no news, and so on. It's gonna change your entire life. You can never go back again. I truly believe that if a child would do this, let's say a 16, 17-year-old young man would do this, all of them in the world, a 30-day test where they go nuts, they will never be the same again. And they will never be able to go to average because they've seen what they're capable of. Right? They achieve this winner feeling, and that's when they strive more for it. Amen. So anything you want to add here, or any question about anything we talked about? Perfect. I'm happy you say that. Once again, you've done extremely well so far. Let me actually pause the recording here quickly. You've done extremely well so far. Look, there are students and there are students. You are an excellent student. Whenever I joined the program, I would give it my best, just like you do it. And it's not always the program you're doing, it is how you do things that will make you successful. And that's why you will be a tremendous success. I know it, Morten. I can guarantee it already. It's super fucking nice. And you should know that. You shouldn't feel good about it too much, because it shouldn't make you now be lazy, but you should know it.